Blockchain DXP by George and yours truly, Markose from Ort. And we like to give a special shout out to our fam from the Ort Foundation. They're right now at DevCon in Bangkok. And we're here in Sunnyside Dubai covering the news update. So let me present.
And this is more of an emergency broadcast, isn't it, Marcus? Because I was trying to prepare for my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, and the numbers are absolutely crazy and great. I mean, the numbers are kind of far too good, to be honest. So, particularly if you look at... Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So, George was kind enough to, share his latest news on, what's happening in the crypto markets. There is a lot of buzz. The whole crypto map is green, so which is nice to see. It's been a while we saw something like this before. So that being said, it's November 12th. Currently in the crypto market, according to the Fear and Greed Index, it's 87. Basically, it's extreme greed. So,
and what is crazy, Marcus, is the numbers that we put on the slide. It's completely changed because the numbers are changing pretty much every second.
Yeah.
So, but it is extreme greed, and I do know yesterday, Marcus, I was literally going to a gym. And a random guy was just talking about Bitcoin, and I was like, well, it's needless to say why that is happening, isn't it? Because it is reaching a new all-time high. So there's a very high possibility, the numbers that we are reading right now, it is definitely going to change, probably in the next minute or so.
Yeah, it's funny because, this random gym member, I guess he may be familiar with crypto and stuff, but, for me, most of my friends, most of my family, I guess your normies, they haven't mentioned anything to me about Bitcoin. So I guess all I want to say is at the moment we are currently early in the bull market. So which is a good thing for us. I think that's I guess I would encourage people, hey, time is now before things go up. So.
Yep. And let's start off with reading through some of the numbers, Marcus, because to be honest, I've been looking at these numbers pretty much every day, and the numbers are absolutely too good. Now this time, unfortunately, it is not scary because we did see some similar numbers when there was Kamala Crash 2.0. That time the numbers went completely off the chart, but there was a completely different reason for that. Because the market was collapsing, the volume of stablecoins increased, but this time it is completely different. Because the prices are pumping up, the numbers of stablecoins and quite a lot of other things are definitely crazy. But let's kickstart by looking at the price of Bitcoin. I think right now on the slide we have as $85,474. Now this was just a few hours ago. Right now via Coin Market Cap, I think it is up to $87,526. And what is crazy is that, since the last 24 hours it is up by 4.11%, but since the last 7 days, it is up by 24.42%. Now, there are two reasons, Marcus, as to why the prices of Bitcoin in particular is pumping up. One is because of President Donald Trump getting re-elected. And on the 7th of this month, the FOMC meeting was out, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell did actually decide to go ahead and reduce the interest rate by 25 basis points. So what I'd really recommend our listeners to do is go to YouTube and look at Federal Reserve Board website or channel. And Jerome Powell did actually give his reasoning as to why he's gone ahead and decided to reduce the interest rate. One of the questions was actually asked, was it because of the US election he's gone ahead and reduced the interest rate? And the answer to that was no, because what they tend to do is they tend to have a meeting pretty much every second day. So throughout the last few weeks, they did go ahead and look at the numbers, that is economic data, and based off that, they went ahead and decided to reduce it by another 25 basis points. So it is a combination of both these news why the price of Bitcoin has reached a new all-time high. Now, along with the price of Bitcoin reaching a new all-time high, Marcus, even the market cap of Bitcoin has reached a new all-time high. Last time, Bitcoin's market cap reached an all-time high, I think it was in 2020. And if I'm not mistaken, it was around the $1.60 trillion mark or somewhere around that range. But it did actually cross a $1.7 trillion range as well. But along with that, Marcus, the biggest surprise is that of Ethereum. What are the numbers showing up on your screen? Because I'm sure the slides that we have, that numbers have completely changed since the
All
last few
right.
hours, isn't it? But
Yeah,
on the
let me
slide,
just.
it is saying $3,216.
Yeah, but here, let me see what we have. The markets are saying is, yeah, just slightly a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm looking at Bybit. So
Okay.
according to Bybit, it's $3,296 and 18 cents. So it's up by what, 2.94%, or you can say round it up like 3% at the moment. But I would say, let me add this though, because if Ethereum crosses this 3,800 mark, then I think things will really speed up.
Yeah.
That's my personal conviction, I guess. So, don't have any other commentary with regards to Ethereum, but that's how, these are my expectations, I guess.
On Bybit Markers, does it show how much has been bumped up since the last 7 days by any chance? Because if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. I have to, okay, because I'm not that familiar with the app, but I think I should, but,
like via Coin Market Cap, it is showing that it is up by 32.02% since the last 7 days. So it looks like because of
I
the
see what you're
US
saying.
election,
Okay.
yeah. So it looks like
Yeah.
because of the US election and the FOMC meeting, Marcos, Ethereum this time has pumped up much higher than, let's say, Bitcoin. And even if you look at Ethereum's market cap, which we'll delve into in just a bit, its market cap has pumped up by almost $100 billion since the last 7 days. So, at a macro level, Bitcoin is definitely reaching a new all-time high. But if you look at it, Ethereum has been pumping much, much higher than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But what is
True.
crazy is that Solana has overtaken Binance BNB chain as well since the last 3 days, to be precise.
Yeah. Right. Because John, I'm looking at CoinGecko.
Okay.
It's kind of like my preferred, I guess.
Yeah.
Crypto
It's a great
aggregator,
one.
so
Yeah.
So like, yeah, because if you're talking about like 7 days, I mean, right now Ethereum is like 3,300.03, which is interesting. So more than 35.2%. Now Solana has risen up quite a bit, but in terms of 7-day percentage, it's 31.4%. And yeah, you're right. It has beat BNB in terms of market cap, like by 7 billion, I think $8 billion or less than $8 billion.
Yeah, but the craziest
Interesting.
thing, Marcus, I'm looking at Dogecoins. Can you see how many percentage it is up by since the last 7 days? It is
132%? Oh gosh, okay, yeah.
Dogecoin to the moon, isn't it? But yeah, regarding Solana, if you check, Marcus, I mean, crossing the $100 mark was supposed to be a big thing, but now it is more than double. Especially since the last 7 days, it is pumped up a lot. But Marcus, I do have a massive red flag regarding Solana, and we discussed this last week in our unfiltered chat as well.
Yeah.
The numbers for Radium, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the only app which is driving a lot of momentum. So hopefully what I'll do is, probably in tomorrow's episode, I'll take a deep dive into what is going on, particularly to do with Solana blockchain as such. But yeah, Solana has overtaken Binance BNB chain by a really, really long shot. Now, if we go to the second slide, Marcus, and this is something, a global cryptocurrency snapshot of what has happened in the cryptocurrency space. If you look at the global cryptocurrency market cap, now these numbers will slightly differ to, let's say, whichever platform you guys are looking at. Are you on the second slide, Marcus?
No. Now I am. Yes. Now we are. Right now, everyone, we're looking at the global crypto snapshot for November 12th.
Yeah, and it is on the verge of touching the $3 trillion mark, isn't it? Now, via CoinGecko, it is already showing that it has crossed the $3 trillion mark. So numbers are absolutely increasing just by the minute. Because via CoinMarketCap, it is showing as $2.92 trillion, but via CoinGecko, it looks like it has already crossed the $3 trillion mark.
Yeah.
So absolutely
yeah.
crazy, to be honest. Yeah. And let's see. Now here's the craziest thing, Marcus. If you look at the volume of the entire cryptocurrency market volume, It is at $342.92 billion. This includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins. So $342 billion. To be honest, Marcus, I've only seen this number reach the $200 billion mark only on 2 occasions. So from $200 billion to directly up by $342 billion, this number is absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even yesterday, the numbers are absolutely crazy.
Oh, that's
So
fine. Yeah.
looks like a lot of buying is going on. And since the last 24 hours, if you look at the cryptocurrency market volume, it is pumped up by well over 42.59%. But let's talk about our not so favorite metric, Marcus, that is decentralized finance. Probably for the first time in almost 3 years, it has crossed the $10 billion mark. And today
Just by
it is at
0.97.
yeah, $10.97 billion. Now, this number should have, in an idealistic world, Marcus, when you talk about, let's say, cryptocurrency, decentralization, decentralized finance, this number should have been somewhere between the $70 to $80 billion mark. So the volume of decentralized finance should have been at least maybe $80 billion mark. That is the lowest ballpark. It should have been around the $120 billion mark. So when you talk about decentralized finance, this number is terrible. But since the last few years, it is definitely great. And, decentralized exchange dominance that we tend to look at, that is at 43.05%. But check this out, Marcos. If you look at the volume of decentralized exchanges, I've never seen those metrics at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see the 24-hour volume of Uniswap, it has crossed the $4 billion mark. So on an average day, it is, around the $1 billion mark, which is also great. But Uniswap has crossed the $4.1 billion mark. Radium, I don't think so. It has ever crossed the $2 billion mark, but today it is at $3.23 billion. PancakeSwap has also crossed the $1 billion mark. Now, mind you, Marcos, these numbers have been high, but it was high when these numbers usually tends to be so high when the market goes down. So, last time the numbers were like this when it was Kamala Crash 2.0. And I very specifically remember the day Bitcoin, El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender. They had to wait for 90 days. And after the 90 days, when it was official, that was the time when these numbers looked like this. But that was when the market actually crashed. The price of Bitcoin actually fell down by $8,000. So there was absolute chaos in the market. But this time it is exactly the opposite, isn't it? It is not chaos, but it is extreme greed.
Yeah.
So if you look at the volume of stable coins, Marcus, what do you think of the volume of stable coins this time?
I mean, I know it's definitely interesting. I'm looking at CoinGecko. Interesting momentum.
Yeah, usually on an average day, the volume of stable coins tends to be around the $80 billion mark. But what I do is, I look at volume of all stable coins, but today it is at $312 billion.
12 billion.
And only the volume of Tether USDT is at $272.77 billion.
Yeah.
This is why the slide that I had shared. So, the numbers are absolutely wicked and wild, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's interesting to see just like the dominance of USDT. Like I'm just blown away. Like time and time again, like how huge it is. Because again, like it is such a incredibly profitable business to be in. And I'm sure, and I'm showing that like also Tether too. I mean they've been buying a lot of what do you say, like these 3-month treasury bills, I guess. So they are quite the big buyers for for the US Treasury, I guess.
Now I'm seeing a lot of discrepancy between, let's say, Coin Market Cap and CoinGecko, because via Coin Market Cap, if you look at Tether's 24-hour volume right now, like real time, it is showing as $289 billion, which I think seems right. But via CoinGecko, it is showing only at $124 billion. $136 billion. Now, that is because, CoinGecko, they selectively choose which blockchain protocols to include in it. So there's a possibility that they might not be including, let's say, Tron blockchain for that matter.
Interesting. Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that. I was not aware of it. But thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that.
if you look at CoinGecko, the number of coins that they actually take is only 15,156, but Coin Market Cap they take well over 25,000 different cryptocurrencies. So the numbers could be slightly, well, I wouldn't say inflated in Coin Market Cap, but CoinGecko they tend to take a relatively lesser blockchain into the matrix because Tether's is massive anomaly. Via coin Gecko it is showing the 24-hour volume is only showing $136 billion, but via coin market cap it is showing $289 billion. Now based on what is going on, I would be more content to side with $289 billion because that's definitely seems like a right metric. But yeah, even USDC's volume is up by $20 billion. FDUSD is almost around the same as USDC. But if you check the market cap markers, last week Ethereum's market cap was below the $300 billion mark, but it has almost pumped up by $100 billion since the last 7 days, and it is at $395 billion, whereas Bitcoin's market cap has reached a new all-time high, and it is at $1.73 trillion. I'm really curious to check the $2 trillion mark. Now, surprisingly, the dominance of Bitcoin markers has actually gone down. And this is something which we discussed in our Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast as well. When the prices of Bitcoin tends to pump up, a lot of new entrants, they tend to look at a lot of smaller valued coins as in it or tokens, and that takes away the dominance from Bitcoin. And Solana has been picking up quite a lot of pace as well. So it is no surprise that the dominance of Bitcoin has gone down, but the dominance of Ethereum has marginally picked up pace. Now, we know the reason as to why Markose this thing has happened, isn't it? And this is regarding the second link that I sent Markose. I think we might have to switch to the second link. That is a Word document. The only reason why Markose, the prices are pumping up is because of President Donald Trump getting re-elected, isn't it? What would have happened, let's say, if Kamala Harris would have been re-elected? I'm pretty much sure the numbers would be in negative. The numbers would still be high, but the reasoning for the numbers to be going high would have been completely different. And along with that, the FOMC meeting was out as well. So again, what our listeners should do is make sure you go and listen to the entire video, because in that video, Markose, I'm not sure if he discussed this in our unfiltered chat, our Fed Chair Jerome Powell was actually asked that, will you step down if President Donald Trump or President-elect Donald Trump asks you to step down? And he said no. And the second follow-up question was, does he have the power to go out and fire you? And he said no. Now, so far as I understand, Markose, the president-elect, and even once he becomes the president of the United States of America, he does not have the power to fire him as such. But something which you mentioned is that maybe Congress has the power to fire or abolish the government, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're the ones who hold the purse. They're the ones, because through Congress and then later with, the signature from the president, the Federal Reserve was created. So, I think this kind of like started a conversation of abolishing the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
I'm not expecting that to happen, just because of just the political climate and how tricky it is. But people are talking about it on Twitter, which has shown to be quite a great indicator of things. So at least.
I wouldn't be surprised, Markose, if I'm being completely honest. I wouldn't be surprised if they do abolish the Federal Reserve Board. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing happens, because I think what our listeners should do is focus on what Vivek Ramaswamy is putting up via Twitter, because he wants to abolish a lot of the departments, and one of them is the Federal Reserve Board. And in one of the interviews, Trump did actually state that, he will fire Gary Gensler, but fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell, which he cannot do that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do eventually go and abolish the Federal Reserve Board. Now, in my episode that I released yesterday, Markose, that is on the 11th of this month, I did actually discuss the benefits of abolishing, let's say, the Federal Reserve Board, along with the Food Drug Administration as well. And in YouTube, I was looking up a couple of videos, and one of the videos did actually state that, let's say, if the Federal Reserve Board did not exist, we may have not had World War I and World War II as well. So I'm still a newbie in that, but definitely need to do more research on that. So yeah, I think abolishing the Federal Reserve will probably be the great thing, but that would only mean one thing, Marcos, so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is concerned. It just means it is going to be heading towards a positive direction, isn't it? So there is just one way forward looking towards that. And again, along with Vivek Ramaswamy, what our listeners should do is try to look at what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing as well, and that is more to do with health. And he's talking about, abolishing the Food and Drug Administration. Now, just a few hours ago, Marcus,
that'd be a good one.
Yeah. And Vivek Ramaswamy, he wants to get rid of the education department as well. And I often talk about these things with my niece because I think she's quite intellectual. And she just told me that she showed me an actual book that she has. And the schoolers actually told her that this book, you cannot bring it to school, but you're more than welcome to read it at home. Because that particular book is apparently banned in a school and it has to do with economics. So I was talking to her about, petrodollar, and I asked her,
I wonder what school of economics she's not allowed to read.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to her about the petro US dollar. I was explaining quite a lot of things, and she was like, this is real economics. But we are not taught about this in school.
Yeah.
And if you look at the root cause of it, that is because of regulations, isn't it? Politicians, they set up a regulatory development body, and they would actually say that any points regarding this should not be included in the curriculum.
Yeah. I guess essentially, yeah. I mean, but you also have a lot of because my viewpoint when it comes to the Department of Education and also the FDA too. Now, because unfortunately, I know I'm going to offend a lot of people and stuff because I won't say friends, but these are and it's more like acquaintances. So many of them are like teachers and stuff. So not only just in the United States but also here as well. But just because I want to talk about the education board, but also the FDA as well, because both of these departments are useless, and they haven't really solved or added any value, for example, for the American people or anybody. So because the general education board was systematically captured by very powerful people. So the goal was to, I mean, some people will say I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of these conspiracies are kind of true. Not kind of, they've been true because it only taught people how to know how do you say, use a tool or something, but they cannot see the bigger picture. And you don't see kids or people in general know how the tax system works, how the credit system works, or even also both the health and education too. The food pyramid is totally horrible. I mean, this is the same board that thinks that seed oil is better than your beef tallow and other how do you say animal fats or whatever, which we as human beings, as a race, have lived on for thousands of years. So a lot of it doesn't make any sense. And I mean, just a long story short, there's a whole deep rabbit hole which will honestly should scare a lot of people. But I'm glad that this conversation needs to take place because the Department of Education is total BS because look at the education level of high school kids in the United States, not the greatest. Yes, you have the best universities and stuff, but even again too, there is a different class system too. Again, not it's covert, but again, I don't think people really can fathom how bad things are. So if that's happening in the United States, imagine what's happening in your own town. And lastly, let me say about the FDA. It's actually, it's not really, yes, it is a government agency or something like that, but most of the funding is coming from selected pharmaceutical companies.
100% right, yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, all the psychotropic drugs, all it does is, it's kind of like a vampire, really. They're not going to kill you, but they're trying to prolong your life or prolong your suffering, not your life, really. Because life would mean that, you're in good shape, you get to, like you have great mobility and all that stuff, but most people don't, whether it's Americans or British or even Emiratis or even Indians too. I mean, like you see so many like these skinny fat Indian kids. I mean, like, that's crazy. That's crazy. So anyway, that's my
No,
jibber jabber.
no, I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on, Marcus, and I think a lot of people should be aware about it. And one company called as Lifespan Clinic. I think our listeners, what they can do is go to Instagram and look at Lifespan Clinic. It is it is a fitness shop which is set up in Dubai, and the founder is from Las Vegas, and he's openly said that the reason why they started in Dubai is because the FDA, they will take 3 to 4 years to go and approve all the medication, but they
Yeah.
have set it up in Dubai, and a lot of the international boxers and athletes like Habib Nurmagomedov, the greatest of all time right now, he visits over here just to do any illness or any fractures that they have. Now, these medications are approved in Dubai, but in FDA, it'll take 4 to 5 years to go and get approved. And one thing which Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, Marcos, is that whenever they see an ill patient, the pharmaceutical industry, they don't see them as a patient, rather they see them as a client. And their whole agenda is for you to be a client for the rest of your life. So that is one area that Robert F. Kennedy is focusing on. So what you're saying is absolutely spot on. Now, regarding abolishing the education department, for me this topic is completely new, Marcus. So I'm reading a lot of what Vivek Ramaswamy is doing. So hopefully, in 2 years down the line, we might be an expert in giving out the benefits of why abolishing such departments is great. But regarding abolishing the Federal Reserve Board, I think it would be great, and it will definitely have a lot of positive implications, particularly so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is concerned. And when you talk about Austrian economics, one of the philosophies of Austrian economics is for less regulation, isn't it?
Yeah. And look, things are like, to me, like, okay, I know a lot of people like Vivek Ramaswamy and Robert, F. Kennedy Jr., but I mean, there are other people who have done immense research on it. I mean, when you talk about the Federal Reserve, the best person you gotta talk to, or we gotta talk about, is Dr. Ron Paul.
He's been saying it since a very long time,
Very long time, like decades. I mean, good Lord. So this guy, and also health as well too, because he was a, how do you say, not a pediatrician, but he has delivered over 5,000 babies. He has served in the Vietnam War as a surgeon, in the battle line. So is someone who understands that. This guy understands economics, and he also understands the science part. And his son too, Dr. Dr. Rand Paul. He's a, how do you say, I guess like an eye surgeon, so stuff, which is a beautiful gift to have and to cherish. So all these problems all boils down to the broken economic system and the terrible, and the incentives mechanism is bad, because you're in a weird sense, you're voting against your own interest, and it doesn't really benefit you at all. It benefits a few. So, and the funny part is, not many people are aware that this is a problem. That's the crazy part. That is
even me, I wasn't aware.
Part.
Yeah, I used to think that regulations are great. I used to always think that regulations are great. It puts everyone in order. But now we're realizing there are a lot of dangers than benefits of having regulations or these regulatory bodies, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess, like, especially from a federal level, because the problem is, because like a lot of these bureaucracies because when you create these systems, they hold a lot of power, and unfortunately you have certain folks who are not really good actors, and it has systematically been captured, and it's been weaponized against a lot of people, even regular people who and the terrible part is, you don't even know it. So this shows, like, wow, like, they actually profit from not only just the American people's ignorance, but also the rest of the world too. Because again, like, a lot of countries like Japan, Western Europe, some countries in the Middle East too, they have modeled themselves after the United States. So, so either by choice or they were told to do it.
True.
It's I mean, because this is the kind of stuff. I think if you're getting into crypto and stuff, because once you understand how it's not just the technology part, you understand the human aspect, the incentives, why this party and this party or these folks want to cooperate together to make Bitcoin grow and get the crypto out there and stuff. It's all about these economic incentives and how the human design works. Once you understand this, you cannot like unsee a lot of things you're seeing in the economy. That's why, like, whatever the things that we're doing, you and me, George, like, we are in many ways, what we are talking about goes against the status quo, like literally.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see, what happens at least for the next quarter. But there's one guy who's making the best use of it, and that is none other than Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy. And he's on an acquiring spree, Markose. And now he has acquired another 27,200 Bitcoin, and he's done that for $2 billion. So as of today, MicroStrategy has roughly around 279,420 Bitcoins, which is valued at $23 billion. Or by the time you're listening to this, it could be $24 billion or $25 billion. Now, what is really interesting to note, Markose, says that MicroStrategy Holding now has a profit of around $11 billion. And they purchased most of them at $74,463. Now, last week in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast regarding MicroStrategy, I did actually mention that he's planning to raise $42 billion to acquire more Bitcoin. So imagine this, Markose, he's planning to acquire $42 billion over the next 3 years. And they will be kind of like the kings of kings when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, the only credit I have to say is, what he's done is he's utilized the 21 million Bitcoin supply, and he's broken down the 42 into 21 million Bitcoin. $21 billion will be raised from equity, and the $21 billion will be raised from fixed income securities over 3 years. And he's aiming for BTC yield target of 6 to 10%. And I'm not a fan of MicroStrategy, Markose, but he's come up with a new metric apparently, which is called as BTC Yield KPI. Now, I'm not sure if other companies, maybe MetaPlanet will try to incorporate something similar. But look, because of these giants buying a lot of Bitcoin, Markose, it will inspire some companies. It has already inspired MetaPlanet from Japan, and I'm pretty much sure, let's say Franklin Templeton, Vanguard, or BlackRock, if they make a similar move, they are going to get even richer, isn't it? Now, what does this mean for the price of Bitcoin? It's going to reach the new all-time highs.
Because I'm also saying, okay, but like, but we also, other than, Trump's win, Michael Saylor, but I think we also have to talk about the ETFs too. I mean, there's a lot of money been flowing there as well. So, which is interesting because, like, if you look at like the current transaction, the rates, it's still low. So I think a lot of the action is taking place in the ETFs than happening on chain.
On chain, just since the last 48 hours, a lot of activity is happening on chain. Just since the last 48 hours.
No? Okay. Oh, all right. Okay.
But regarding ETF, you're absolutely spot on, Markose. In fact, BlackRock's or Bitcoin ETF, it has actually surpassed its gold fund as well. So that, to be honest, is absolutely shocking, isn't it? Because I'm sure they've had the gold fund for a very long time. And BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, which is IBIT ETF, was actually launched in January of this year. And right now they hold over $33 billion, and it has surpassed its gold ETF. That is absolutely scary, but great for them, I guess. And, there's an article which is published by Cointelegraph, and they have credited Trump's victory for that. Now, what they're also saying, Markose, is that one of the agendas of President Donald Trump is to fire Gary Gensler. If that thing happens, there could be a possibility that we might have a Solana ETF, we might have an XRP ETF. Let's make ETF great again. Now, that, to be honest, in the purest sense, is not necessarily good. It is good for the rich people to get even richer, but for little people, it does not make much of a sense, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, regular folks are not really going to benefit from this. the best you can do is just like, just buy your Bitcoins and buy your crypto on spot.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, because I know you're looking at the data much better than me, but I think a lot of the longs, a lot of the shorts or whatever, like these derivatives, a lot of them have kind of been washed away and stuff. So,
they would have disappeared. Not even
yeah,
close.
okay. So this is a good sign. Then I know,
It
like,
is a
okay,
good
you know
sign,
what,
yeah.
like, we will go up because because the last 3-4, dips or whatever, like ups and then downs and all that stuff. You got all these derivative folks. I don't know. It's it, I just don't see them favorably, I guess. So that's why I recommend people hold spot, buy spot.
Yep.
Don't try to be over smart or whatever. Like, especially for like new people and also those who have been in the space long enough but didn't cash out or take profits. If you're trying to do the trading stuff, which a lot of people do that, including myself, right? So I had a lot of rough lessons. Let me tell you that.
Yep. Now, so far as my understanding is concerned, Marcus, the only next date that will impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is the next FOMC meeting, which is taking place on the same day as the Bitcoin MENA event, which is, I believe, the 9th and 10th of December. But other than that, I don't see absolutely any reason why the prices should be going down unless Solana turns out to be a black swan event with Radium DApp in particular. Again, I'm not educated on Radium. I'm trying to do the research, but the numbers are definitely not making any sense. Usually what happens is, Marcos, whenever the prices pumps up, we tend to find out a collapse. We had the FTX collapse during a similar era. We had, the Terra Luna thing happened during a similar time as well, isn't it? So we also need to keep an eye on what is it that is going on and what is it that could potentially collapse the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Another thing, Marcos, which I'm sure you may not like, which I think could be the Black Swan event, most likely but not, that potentially could be Tether USDT. Let's say if the US government does decide to go after Tether USDT and they do find out that they were involved in pumping the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, now the chances of that thing to happen is, I would say, less than 40%. But the only two black swan events I can think of at least now is, let's say, Radium, Solana, and maybe Tether USDT. And I'm hoping I'm 100% wrong on this because no one wants a collapse, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the third one could be external factors. Maybe, let's say, there is another assassination attempt, and hopefully it is a failed one that could drive down the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. But other than that, everything looks perfectly fine till, let's say, March of next year. I don't see anything stopping the price of Bitcoin. March of next year, as Marcus, we discussed where the CPI numbers will go down because of the 800,000 jobs that were accidentally added. But other than that, definitely looks like smooth sailing. But there's a bit of drama going on right now, and that is regarding FTX is suing Binance, as well as the former CEO, that is CZ Shankar Sal.
Yeah.
That is just more
good old, freaking FTX. That thing will never die out, and such a bane on the crypto existence. Just oh gosh, FTX and also Celsius too. So I mean, I got some money back, but it's honestly like just meaningless. I'm just like, what the heck, So I know the FTX thing. Oh gosh, what a shambles.
Yep. And they are actually claiming that the amount was fraudulently transferred to Binance during the 2021 share buyback of Binance's stake on FTX. And they are actually alleging that, the Alameda Research funded the buyback was $1.76 billion. So they are suing the company for $1.8 billion. So really, I'm not sure what the outcome to this is. Now, I'm not sure a lot of the new guys would know, Marcus, why FTX collapsed. It was only because of a couple of tweets, isn't it? I remember CZ tweeting that, he does not want to go ahead and buy back the shares. And the moment he tweeted, Marcus, I immediately showed my niece, see, look, this will eventually turn out to be a big issue. And it was Sam Bankman's girlfriend who replied to that tweet, stating that, we want to buy the shares at a specific price. And that rose that actually had a big red flag as to why did she say a specific amount. And that is when people started withdrawing the funds, which eventually led to the collapse of FTX. So what our listeners can do is, just go back to the single tweet by CZ. And I often say this, that there will be a documentary on Netflix, and it is going to start with a tweet message by CZ stating that he's no longer interested in buying back the shares of FTX. So that just shows the power of social media and just a single tweet, isn't it? That collapsed partners how many billions and billions of worth of dollars, because it did have a knock-on effect on other cryptocurrency exchanges, shit coins, as well as crap protocols as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, the only thing I wanted to say is, Marcus, because I'm also starting another platform that will be focusing only on Bitcoin. So, this is a new platform which I'm starting by Blockchain DXB. Maybe it'll be called as bitcoindxb.ae or bitcoindxb.net. And it will be focusing only on Bitcoin at beginner, advanced, and technical level. And I thought, with Bitcoin Mina coming up, maybe it is an ideal time to go ahead and launch that platform. So essentially, the platform will have news, articles, upgrades surrounding Bitcoin, something similar to Bitcoin Magazine. But I'm planning to have, let's say, an Arabic content as well. So if any of the Arabic listeners want to participate, definitely drop me an email at info@blockchaindxb.com. The platform will be catered more towards schools, colleges, universities, banking industries, laws, as well as government. And we'll be doing unfiltered chat, and hopefully we can have one session catered only to Bitcoin, where we don't talk anything, let's say, regarding the so-called blockchain technology or artificial intelligence. And earlier today, the CEO of SARA, he also tweeted some of the benefits of blockchain technology, which I kind of disagree to it. So, maybe we'll go ahead and talk some of the not so good things regarding blockchain technology. Because look, Marcus, me personally, I don't think so. There is much use case of blockchain technology as such. Beyond Bitcoin, I'm not seeing any legitimate use case. People are still in the building stage. When you talk about Ethereum, I remember showing it to a friend's dad, who was actively one of the guys, you helped set up the mainframe system in 1980s. He actually said he could understand the Ethereum white paper because he's into, the coding. And he said, see, look, this sounds great. It looks like an answer to a problem that does not exist. And that is something which he said, way back in 2015 and 16, before Ethereum being launched. He did buy a lot of Ethereum. So I don't see any use case of blockchain technology. In theory, and it sounds really great that the world is going to be distributed. Everyone has consensus. Everyone has the power. But in reality, it just does not work.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, Marcus, even Bitcoin, if you look at it right now, it is the billionaires, trillion-dollar companies who are benefiting most by it, isn't it? Not an average individual person.
Yeah. I guess when it started, it started out great. But I think things have went a dark turn. And again, I recommend people to check out the hijacking of Bitcoin by Roger Ver and Steve Patterson. But that's where that turning point came. And I know a lot of the BTC maximalists would disagree and stuff or whatever. But that's where we saw, but there is this hijacking, whether it's some faction or intelligence groups or whatever. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised by it. So, because the current BTC doesn't really represent what is on the white paper. I mean, the code has changed so much. It's just totally different. So, but at the same time, there are some interesting innovations taking place. But for me, I think what I like about it is, it is bringing the conversation of creating circular economy. So in terms of technology and stuff, I mean, it's not the, game-changing technology and stuff is going to change your whole life and stuff, but it is the philosophy. It is the philosophy of, decentralization or distribution or, how do you say, challenging the big tech narrative. So I think that is what's, it's that cultural and the social and the political power behind it is what's really the game changer. It just happens to have a certain technology backing it up. So, because there are other blockchains too. I mean, that can be who are actually quite superior. I mean, whether it's Multiverse X or something like that, or maybe Neo.
Even Cardano for that matter, isn't it? When you talk about
in a sense, yeah. So they are, because they have it is quite advanced. but they don't have the marketing, the prowess or that power compared to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the first one. So
Yep, yep.
it's just but of course, it depends. Like, only time will tell, like, how things have changed, and things can change. I mean, nothing lasts forever. I mean, only the most sound money, sound principle will last forever. So even though some people have corrupted some of these stuff in some way, but we are seeing, like, some interesting stuff happening in the privacy space. They're seeing some stuff happening in the emerging tech space. So there are some cool stuff in the horizon. Let's see, how it plays off. So not scratching off anything yet.
Yeah, and you mentioned about sound money, Marcus. When yesterday in my episode that I released, I used ChatGPT 4 to ask, what are the benefits of abolishing the Federal Reserve? And the very first thing it actually said, sound money. So by abolishing the Federal Reserve, we could actually return to something called a sound money. Now, it did not necessarily mention about, going back to the gold standard, but it did actually state that, because of the Federal Reserve Board, we don't have sound money. And even our listeners should do is, try to find out some of the benefits of abolishing not just the Federal Reserve Board, but maybe, let's say, the Department of Education. The Food Drug Administration, according to me, was a complete shocker, because I was under the impression, Marcus, that the medications in India are kind of bad, because there is one specific tablet which I used to take called a SARA. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. The moment you take it, within 10 minutes, your headache magically disappears.
Okay.
But when I used to take the medication, let's say a headache tablet, let's say in UK and in India, or rather in UAE, it takes a bit of time, maybe 6 to 8 hours. And I used to think that the medication in India is really bad. It is too strong and it might be bad for the health. But now, after listening to some of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s episode, maybe the medication in India was good. And it may not be that bad because, in India, we don't have FDA as such. But what he's actually stating is that some of the medications over here, they are created in such a way or designed in such a way that they make sure that the illness is not cured, rather it lasts for a long time. Because the whole mentality of the pharmaceutical industry is not as a patient, but more as a client. So,
see, as a cash cow in a sense. That's
exactly, yeah, because it is worth $3 or $4 trillion worth of money for them. But yeah, so the platform that I want to have will be focusing on, the benefits of abolishing, let's say, the Federal Reserve, let's say the banking industry. I really am not sure how long it would take for the banking industry to completely eliminate. In 2016, the CEO of Barclays Bank, that is, I think his name was, and I forgot his name, he actually put out a really great article stating that in the next 15 years, the banking industry may not exist. So we are almost 11 years from his statement. So probably 4 to 5 years now. With President Donald Trump getting elected, it's going to be really interesting to see what the outcome of the banking industry is as well. Is everyone going to switch, to, let's say, cryptocurrency and blockchain world like it was intended to be? And I'm sure there are other use cases beyond Bitcoin as well, like,
or like the what do you say, the US dollar goes to the Department of Treasury. That's because just to give people some context, because like the Federal Reserve in the United States, it's not the first central bank. It was the third central bank. That's the thing. Like the first two failed. The second one was killed by Andrew Jackson, because again, like for some reason we do not learn from the mistakes of the past, and they were controlled by private banks. And same thing too. The Federal Reserve. There's nothing federal about it, and there's no reserve too. So this is where, like, if because like those who have went against these central bank schemes usually end up dead or in some form, so because again, like this is where again, it's all in the history books. It's up to you guys. You just have to read it, so not just but there's a reason why, because like if you're able to print money, like the bureaucrats, they could finance whatever dumb ideas they want, or wars or whatever, But what they cannot control is your purchasing power. And this is where, like, I think, unfortunately, also with the education system, not many people realize how money is created and why they're working like these long, crazy hours every year.
Yeah.
And, like, we're also seeing some sort of like, this societal breakdown right in front of us. Because I'm seeing like, like millennials, even Gen Zs too. I mean, like they're having mental breakdowns and stuff. Some of them are just giving up too. They're not like, working or something. They're like, man, is this my life? So again, all of this boils down to this unit of transferring value, and that is the concept of money. And this is where, like, now when you think about it, George, like it really plays an important role in our life. And this is why, George, you and me, why we are talking about Bitcoin, why we talk about Monero, why we talk about stablecoins, why we talk about crypto, and this emerging tech in general, because this could be the lifeboat that could, change the course of humanity's history. If we don't, things are going to be worse before it gets better. It'll get better, George, but the thing is that it's going to get worse before it gets better. So some things got to change, and I know, well, George, I'm pretty sure like there's some folks who want to be tuning in. They won't be comfortable with what we have to say, but we have to say it because our integrity is on the line. We have read the history books. We are doing all this research, and we're not the only ones who are saying that. There are others who have been saying that too. For decades, like Dr. Ron Paul, like Shiva Ayyadurai. I mean, this guy is also the inventor of email. He covers this too. And there are many others, not only just in the United States, but also India as well too. But they don't get much recognition. But I hope that this could open eyes to, what, we got to pay attention.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
And you mentioned about how money is created. I think for our listeners, what you can do is, on YouTube, go to Simon Dixon, who's one of the OGs of Bitcoin. He's been talking about Bitcoin even before Bitcoin was created. He has come to Dubai quite often times. He actually put up a video stating how the 6 different forms of money. A very brilliant explanation. I mean, he's done it at his home and just sitting on a couch, but absolutely brilliant explanation on how there are 6 different forms of money. Now, had he not put out that video, Marcus, I would have not known. And I did try to go ahead and check and investigate, and whatever he's saying is absolutely spot on in terms of, how money is created and how certain banks are given the power to go ahead and create money. And there's often this saying, the closer you are to the money printer, that's where you get a lot of money, isn't it? So absolutely spot on.
That is true.
Now, you also touch base upon, technology with a lot of millennials being depressed. I'm not sure, Marcus, if he talked about this in Unfiltered Chat. In my sports podcast, I did actually ask one guy that, what does he think of artificial intelligence? And he actually said that, a lot of his friends do use ChatGPT and other AI forms as a psychiatrist. And I found that completely bizarre because I use ChatGPT quite a lot. And I told my niece that, I told my niece that, this is what happened. And she said that, yes, when she is depressed, she uses ChatGPT to, let out her frustration. So she actually feels that, you're talking to a human being.
Wow.
And I was a bit shocked. Dude. I was like, what?
Dude, okay, I'm blown away because there's not something
I was shocked as well.
About.
Yeah. So whatever personal problems they have, rather than speaking, let's say, to their mom or dad or friends, people are now talking to ChatGPT 4 and talking it as a friend. That, what should I do? And surprisingly, I tried to do it, and the answers are not that bad. So the answers are definitely not that bad. So let's see how artificial intelligence takes place a role so far as Bitcoin is concerned. I'm really curious to check how Bitcoin can merge with artificial intelligence and vice versa. That is definitely an area worth looking into. Now, the only thing what I wanted to touch base regarding Markose or the cryptocurrency market volumes and everything, Glassnodes, they tend to provide a weekly insights every Tuesday. They haven't updated it yet, but if any of the guys who are into trading or who wants to look at the numbers, particularly to do with, let's say, Bitcoin or Solana or even Ethereum, you can look at the Glassnodes weekly insights. They gave a very thorough, detailed explanation as to what has happened since the last 7 days. I'll definitely go ahead and cover that in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast. So I think we've covered pretty much everything at a macro level, isn't it, Marcus? I wanted to touch base on 2 news regarding UAE that is from the slides. And
all right, let's have a look at these bad boys. Hold up.
So what I tend to do is in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, I tend to cover 2 news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East, from the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs, and even artificial intelligence world. Now, the first news is regarding artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're talking about, the Saudi. Okay, I got the Saudi slide.
Yeah, that's correct. So Saudi Tourism Authority, they have launched a better version of SARA AI, which is essentially a virtual travel companion. So I remember they had a robot or something a couple of years ago, isn't it? But this time it is more of a virtual assistant.
Sophie. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
dude,
this is Sophia. This is more of a SARA AI, and they showcased it at the World Travel Market in London, which did actually take place on the 5th and 7th of this month. Now, SARA AI is more of a hyper-realistic human digital, which is built by advanced generative AI, and it is designed to elevate Saudi Arabia's tourism experience. And it is built and it was available at the Digital Concierge and Brand Ambassador. Now, I'm not sure, Marcos, if you do a lot of hiking, there are a couple of apps where, people just randomly meet and they do hiking. Now, could it be possible that rather than using a hiking buddy partner, you just use this app to do a hiking? I'm not sure. Some crazy people will try to do that, isn't it? I know a lot of friends.
That's possible. Yeah.
They meet up random people for hiking and they just talk while they're going for hiking. Now, I'm hoping no one turns out to be a serial killer. I'm not talking about this in UAE. Are they going
you had to go to like a vetting process or something, right? Yeah, I know.
Yep. Huh. But this particular I'm not sure if it is an app or a physical or a virtual person. It interacts with users through, intent-driven responses, personalized recommendations, and providing real-time assistance to travelers. So it could be more of a software kind of a thing that they have built, isn't it? But it's going to be interactive, and it is designed for user engagement. And based on the news, it says that SARA embodies Saudi Arabia's forward-looking approach to tourism and technology. Because in Saudi Arabia, they have Vision 2030, isn't it, Marcus?
Yeah.
An absolute game changer. And I am planning to visit Saudi Arabia pretty soon for a hiking event. Now, based on my understanding, the SARA is more of a conventional AI that goes beyond basic chatbot capabilities. So it actually learns on the go, and it uses reliable, up-to-date data and a contextual understanding of users' needs. And I'm pretty much sure this is based on the conversation that we have back and forth. Now, SARA's design and the backstop story reflects Saudi Arabia's heritage, which embodies Saudi Arabia's culture and relatable narrative and personality. I'm kind of reading from the script, isn't it, from the slides that I have. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, what the SARA AI is. And I'm pretty much sure it's going to take a couple of feedbacks as well. So that is one news regarding artificial intelligence. Now look, Marcus, in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, I do cover news from artificial intelligence from the Middle East. And out of 10 news, at least 6 or 7 of them are from Saudi Arabia. So, I do feel that Saudi Arabia is definitely taking leaps and bounds so far as artificial intelligence is concerned. Now the next news, Marcus, I'm not sure if you managed to attend it, but this was in an event which was a content creator campus, which was focused on cryptocurrencies. So it was essentially the first ever crypto content creator campus. I think this was a paid event and the price was humongous for this, isn't it?
I have a friend of mine, he did attend it too. So, but did you go for it?
No, I definitely did not go for it because this was taking place. I think it took place at the Palm, isn't it?
At the W Dubai, which is nice. I've been there. I've been to the Alex Back restaurant, which is like a Michelin star restaurant. It was really cool. So, nice. I mean, that place is nice. Yeah.
And I think some of the speakers were like Randy Zuckerberg, who I believe is the sister of Mark Zuckerberg. There was Zach King, Nick Tran, and quite a lot of other people. And Randy Zuckerberg, she's actively involved in Facebook's Meta, which is the metaverse. And when the metaverse hype was there, she actually said that, a lot of dating applications could possibly be the number one that will be used in the metaverse. I'm not sure what the update to metaverse platform is. But yeah, that was an event. If any of the listeners did actually attend that, I think there was also a session that was focusing on how to monetize influence, and another session that talked about the evolving dynamics of social media and the key to becoming a TikTok influencer. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Marcos, this particular event was arranged by Bybit, isn't it? I could be wrong on this. But
yeah. So Bybit was there. I'm pretty sure Aptos was also there too. But yeah, there's because I seen that guy Ben Zhao, he was there.
Yeah. And they had guys from Coinbura as well, which is great. And the moon. Now, regarding the moon, I'm not sure what your feedback to his is, but I've seen that all of his predictions are 100% wrong. And he does have quite a lot of chatbots, who keeps on saying, "Thank you for making me rich." And he used to be active on Ivan on Tech, but he stopped being on Ivan on Tech. But he's definitely based in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is.
And at the event, I
He
see
is.
we also had a CCCC Hacker House Challenge that featured 10 teams competing for $90,000 prize pool money. And I think Randy Zuckerberg, she was also praising Dubai's energy and potential of intersection of content creation and blockchain. Now, regarding content creation, I'm sure there are a lot of influencers who are existing in Dubai, and there was a 1 billion summit as well, isn't it? I'm not sure the name or title of that.
Yeah, it's called the 1 billion summit. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so interesting times ahead, and I think we've covered pretty much everything, isn't it, Marcus?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we went to the last one. All right, okay, we got all the. Yeah, you're right. We covered all the good stuff happening here in sunny side Dubai. Let me just close this thing off. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say is now there's not many major events to look forward to that would bring down or increase the price of Bitcoin cryptocurrency. The only next event is possibly the next FOMC meeting, which is on the 9th and 10th of December. The next big event will probably be in March, when the CPI numbers will actually show less of 1 million jobs. So we might anticipate the inflation numbers should show drastically different only for that particular month. And that was because of an error that did actually happen last year. But other than that, there is no macro level like ETF news, no political news, no halving. There's no macro level news as such. The only other external event I can think of is possibly another assassination attempt that could actually draw down the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. But other than that,
why so negative, George? Okay.
No, I'm just thinking.
Joking. No, but it is good to have these thoughts and concepts, because it's always kind of like trying to guess the unexpected, because who expected, like, what do you say, immediately, we've seen like pumps before, but not like this. So it is interesting to see how it goes. But but you know what, like right now we're hitting what, like 86,000 or something like that. But I'm thinking, like, man, there's a crazy possibility. Now, I'm not really that big of a fan of BTC or something like that, but I could see BTC hit up, 100K in this month, like in a couple of weeks. I could see that happen, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the next few days, Marcus. Because
next few days? Oh, dude, you are optimistic. I like that.
$80,000 just few days ago, just 24 hours ago, it was $80,000. And from 80,000, last night it did go to $89,000. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was supposed to release an episode, and that time the price was $89,000. But it did actually go down. So when you look at it on a 24-hour basis, it takes into adjustments, those are things as well.
Yeah.
So $89,000 to another 10K, it's not too far away.
No, fair enough. Yeah. So, I could see that happen. But I know normally people are paying attention to Ethereum. But if Ethereum crosses this magical line of $3,800, then it's going to be all coin season, bro. To be honest, because that's kind of like my conviction play based on, like the past, really. So, I mean, I can see a lot of momentum too. So, I know people will be excited about like, Solana and stuff. I'm not sure, maybe, but again, Solana did crossover, BNB. So that'll be interesting to see. But, I don't know. I don't know, but I am kind of, curious about like the other altcoins. I think for me, obviously, because I'm with Ort, so Ort is a decentralized cloud for AI. So quite curious to see the narrative for Deepin, particularly if that's going to kick up. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Render looks interesting. I know later on Monero will be pretty popular too. It's just what do you say, matter of time and stuff. But again, I guess I'm sort of like a Monero maxi, so that's I'm more of an outlier. But kind of curious about Base, like with Aerodrome Finance and stuff.
Yep, it is
pretty fast.
So far as the transaction volume is concerned, it is absolutely crazy.
And also the revenues too. They have They have way more revenue than Ethereum. So
and
that says something.
Coinbase, they are not actively involved in Bitcoin as such, especially since the last 3 months. So, another way of looking at it is, the CEO of Coinbase, he's a massive Trump guy, and he's a massive Republican, and he's a pro-Bitcoin guy as well. So let's say if he does go ahead and make a move regarding Bitcoin, that would eventually turn out to be positive for the price of Bitcoin, isn't it? So I'm looking at all the factors, Marcus. I'm not seeing anything stopping Bitcoin, at least for now, unless there are any external factors. The only thing regarding meme coin, and this is definitely not financial advice. There's a meme coin called as MPP. So a lot of the OGs of meme coins, they are heavily invested in that. And they are saying that it could pump up by 1,500%. So keep an eye on MPP. So this might be released. Now, it is definitely not available on Binance yet. So that should be out probably by December or January. So if someone wants to become a millionaire in just a matter of few days, you definitely may want to keep an eye on MPP. But it's again a risky game, isn't it? Because the price is already too high right now. Now, one thing I'm not sure if we touch base on this, Marcus. We did actually talk about this on our episode that we talked about in Unfiltered Chat, where we were discussing Marcus who could potentially replace or who could potentially be the Bitcoin and crypto advisor to President Donald Trump. And we threw out two names. One was, David Bailey, the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine. Then we talked about Charles Hoskinson. And the very same day, he was on Twitter or X Spaces, and I send you the details via Telegram, isn't it? Where he's claiming that he would be the one who would be the Bitcoin and crypto policy advisor. I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't. So which just means, so far as Cardano ADA is concerned, that would be looking good as well.
Yeah.
The prices have already pumped up only because of that announcement by 30%.
Yeah. It is interesting. I know we talked about him, and also the amount of criticism he gets. I know, like, because I see on LinkedIn and stuff, like, actually, I would see more from, like, like Twitter or something, but on LinkedIn, I seen, like, people, like, mention him as, he created this humongous vaporware or something like that. I don't know how to agree or disagree or something. I'm kind of leaning on disagree just because I've been to the Cardano Summit. There are some people who are working on some pretty interesting stuff. I mean, it's not entirely. It's just that It's just that they have huge funds, but their ecosystem is, small. It's smaller, but they do have some interesting projects here in Dubai with the Dubai police and Argentina. They are working on some actual real projects with the Argentinian government, particularly under President Javier Milei. So that's it. At least that should say something.
On technology, on paper, it could be the best technology, but the best technology does not always win, isn't it? the most known technology.
Yeah.
But I think one of the drawback why Cardano is not in the news is because, if I'm not mistaken, they are not on Coinbase. They're not in Binance as well in US. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong though. So
Oh, okay.
Coinbase has delisted them, and a lot of even Kraken has delisted Coinbase, and this happened years ago. That's one of the reasons why people are not talking about Cardano, or either the price is not pumping up. But,
Yeah. So okay, but see that that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, it's not like they are unleashing big budgets and stuff compared to say like Polkadot. I remember like a couple of months ago, like their marketing plan got leaked and stuff. They're spending like 14 million or something like that. But it shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, it's not like a bad thing. Okay, they're reaching, they're getting all these crypto influencers and content creators to talk about Polkadot, because in a sense, they have to. It's not, they don't have a choice. So like, it's just part of the game of business and how to get their name out there. Especially there's so much noise in the crypto space, particularly. So how do you be a signal? How do you?
Yep.
It's a kind of a lot of community building effort needs to take place. So yeah, I mean, this is my take coming from the uneducated marketing professional here. So
yeah, I mean, what you're saying is absolutely spot on, Marcus. Most of the things you're saying is absolutely spot on. The only thing is, going back to this whole blockchain technology, me personally, I'm not seeing any use case of blockchain technology as such, because the whole idea of decentralized apps is for things, let's say, like Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Skype, let's say LinkedIn, to be working on a blockchain protocol. We are not seeing absolutely any of those, isn't it, Marcus, which we tend to use on a day-to-day basis. So when you talk about dApps, it is decentralized and distributed apps. So we should be having, let's say, the internet working on blockchain, or let's say, our ride-sharing app to be working on blockchain, or let's say the metro timings to be working on blockchain, and none of the use cases are there. We are seeing quite a lot of meme coins. We are seeing a lot of NFTs. So beyond meme coins and NFTs, I generally don't think so. There is much use case of blockchain technology. And the CEO of SARA did actually mention via LinkedIn that, blockchain technology will play a crucial role in supply chain management. I kind of 100% agree. And we discussed this, Marcos, that why blockchain technology may not be an ideal fit, particularly for supply chain management, because it is still possible to put fraudulent products in the chain when you're moving one product from one product into another. So blockchain technology does not do much. It only shows the transparency, not the authenticity of the product. So you can use blockchain technology for showing transparency, but not the authenticity. But when you talk about transparency, we can do that using centralized account existing systems as well. It would be much cheaper, much faster, and you can also have customer support. But replicating that onto blockchain technology will be expensive. The quality will not be great, and you can talk about it even 10 years from now. The centralized system will work better so far as, showing a user, let's say, where your goods are being produced, where it is being transferred. It just will not work with blockchain technology. It is like using a system which is 20 years old. A centralized system can do that. So let's say, Marcos, you are selling, let's say a shoe. You can have camera showing how the shoe is produced. You don't have to use blockchain technology, and you decide, let me go ahead and show everything to my customers. There you go. You've solved the entire blockchain and supply chain management problem. You can also offer customer support. And I'm talking about big companies like Dell, Microsoft. They can do that. It has absolutely nothing to do with blockchain technology as such. That is my honest.
I can agree. I can agree to that. I mean, there's a way to showcase, authenticity and stuff, and also there's also a question of like, if you're trying to use blockchain or try to create an NFT and stuff, like, do the customers really care about this stuff? Again, that's also another thing. Like, and it goes back to what you mentioned earlier about Ethereum, is that it has a great solution for a problem that doesn't exist yet. So that's kind of like the ugly truth, I would say. So unless if you, like you mentioned about Instagram or something like that, or even also like also in AI too, like if you're doing like, data labeling or something like that, like which Ort is doing, we are trying to create kind of like a proof of human work that, hey, you know what, this data label or whatever's work, this annotation is done by an actual human being, not a bot or something like that, so that way, like, to ensure that, hey, it's an actual human being, so it would be considered as high value, data because an actual human has worked on it or something like that than an AI derivative. So, that in some cases, yeah, like in terms of verification and proof and all that stuff, privacy and protection, there's some use cases, but but supply chain, which is such a huge market, I know people have been doing that also with, I don't know.
Was it IOTA?
Other,
IOTA was supposed to focus on supply chain management.
yeah, they did. Like, it's connected. I think it's more of like Internet of Things or something, but the same thing. There's that, it is kind of, interrelated or something. Sorry, I can't think of the right English word, but, and also when it comes to RWAs, I don't see, I don't know, like, and I'm wearing one of those free t-shirts from Mantra or something. So again, it requires like government recognition for some of the stuff.
You have to do KYC, you have to do AML, you have to do quite a lot of other things.
Yeah, so unless like there's a sort of like a blanket agreement, okay, you know what, we agree that, okay, if this product is tokenized by Ethereum or something, so
yeah.
It is more of like, I can't think of the damn bloody word for all this legal stuff, but it is as it is. Like, we just have to accept it, whether we agree with Ethereum or not. But if it's like, tokenized on Ethereum, is recognized. Like, I don't know, something like that. Like, I forgot. I'm sure some legal folks can explain this thing better than me.
To digress, Marcus, here. Yeah, to digress. I know you go on, continue, Marcus.
I finished my statement. So
what I was saying is that, in the ERC20 token that you have, which is like a smart contract, which is more of a template, what the government can do, and this is something, what the UAE government or the Dubai government can do is, in that ERC20 token, the government can put out their own code stating that, it needs to meet certain conditions. And then that smart contract can be backed by a legal entity. So just for example, the government can say that this particular, doesn't have to be, it can be a generalized thing stating that this particular transaction, which is done on Ethereum between Markose and George, does actually follow the Sharia compliant procedures. And there are certain rules and regulations regarding Sharia compliance in it. So in the smart contract where Markose is selling something to George, we can have a Sharia compliant only for that particular token. And let's say if we have any dispute, well, the government can then take in a step and say, hey, you know what? We have gotten legally approved that. That is the only area where I do think legality merges with blockchain technology. And this goes back to each and every smart contract.
Gotcha. Okay. Now you're talking
and the
about
governments can take one, they can have like, say, another template of that. So this would be a backed by, so this particular transaction that me and Marcus are doing is backed by a legal entity in Dubai. But let's say, for a transaction between two Americans, that would be backed by their own legal department. Now, we talk about this idea that, code is law, sounds absolutely great. But what if the government, let's say the Indian government says, Marcus and George have done a transaction, but we don't approve the transaction. And let's say if we have a problem that you have not delivered the goods, I can't go to the government. The government can say, hey, you know what? We don't care that you've done the transactions in Ethereum. So there is no legal backing to them. So, but in that ERC20 token, in the smart contract, you can go ahead and put a code to make it legal. Now, will a government do that or really? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's about all Marcus, isn't it? So let's see how the price reacts. And I'm really curious to check, why there's so much of discrepancy, particularly for Tether USDT's 24-hour volume between Coin Market Cap and Coin Gecko. So, a lot of massive difference. But other than that, I think we are pretty much done, Marcus, for today's episode, isn't it?
Yes, we are. So yeah, man. Hey, glad we had to have this impromptu, live stream session. glad glad to do this with you, brother, and really enjoyed it. So I guess we will be on our toes.
Absolutely.
You know how the space works. So, and if you're new to the space, definitely do follow us. We cover all aspects of blockchain, crypto, Web3, AI, a lot of emerging tech, but also geopolitics and culture as well, because they all are interrelated. So if you want to understand more, definitely got to check out George his podcast, Blockchain DXP, and he's the host of Coffee and Crypto and Coffee at 8. So
Yep.
and yours truly with Orc, just for the AI for humanity. So we are bringing blockchain AI into space, and and we're going to rock with it. And special thanks to the Ort Foundation for supporting us. And right now, the team is in DevCon in Bangkok, Thailand.
Excellent.
Really beautiful place. And also, I think Amir Taki and many other folks will be speaking at DevCon. So really looking forward to it. I mean, to hear, what's the word, what's the good news out there. So I think I'm more excited about some of the technical stuff because I think it's way more fun than some of the events that I go to here in Dubai. to be perfectly honest.
And Bangkok is always a great place to go, isn't it? Any time of the year, to be honest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So yeah. So before we head out, George, any anything exciting? Anything we need to cover before we bounce out of here?
No, I mean, if any of you guys want to collaborate on only a Bitcoin related content, I'm thinking of a domain name. Maybe it is bitcoindxb.info, bitcoindxb.net, or bitcoindxb.ae. If anyone wants to go and sponsor that particular domain, which is focused only on education, no stock market trading, what to buy, sell, no investment advice, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And yeah, if anyone is interested in going out for a hike, there is a really, really great event called as Highlander, and they have a hike event coming up on the 17th, which is Sunday, so I'm definitely going for that one. So, yeah, it's good to be with the nature, especially during the weekends, isn't it? But other than that, I think we're all good to go. And thank you so much, Markose, for doing this on a short notice. Really appreciate it. We got this thing ready in 30 minutes, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know. We had to talk about it. So, anyways, we gotta go. So y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We will talk to you soon. And see you this Thursday for our unfiltered chat. Your weeklies on crypto, blockchain, and AI. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice one. Bye-bye.